Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explained here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. And today I want to talk to you guys about why we need to have a serious conversation regarding Konohamaru Sarutobi being eaten by Matsuri in the upcoming chapters at hand. While I am of the belief that Konohamaru has gotten stronger, and by the time you guys are seeing this video, the video I did on why Konohamaru is stronger than you think in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex should be up on the channel. It depends on whether or not I got the artwork commissioned for the thumbnail on time, or whether or not I just reuse old artwork that I paid for. But I do think that given all this room for optimism we have for Konohamaru, we need to ask a serious question. Is Konohamaru about to be the first victim with these awakened Shinju? That's why in today's newest Naruto Explained video, I wanted to lay out the case for why this isn't the craziest thing to consider and why it is more than just Konohamaru, who doesn't make these big explosions as big as Matsuri, which is that typical meathead response that we tend to get whenever discussing Battle Shonen. There's a lot more to it. So jumping right into it, the idea of Konohamaru being eaten by Matsuri, it isn't as crazy as you might think, because while Konohamaru does appear to have been insulated by the number of people who have been brought near him in terms of the support role that he has in the form of Araya and Yodo being there as potential sacrificial pawns if need be, and you got Sarada and Mitsuki who both scale over Konohamaru there to basically rescue him when things get too out of hand. If it looks like he is about to be put down and out for the count, which nobody would be shocked if that happened, because it's about as expected as Sasuke running out of chakra in part 1 of Boruto, which happened almost as suddenly and often as the release of the official Naruto Explained plushie, which is up for pre-order on Gimme Slack's website. And I am proud to say that I had a hand in extensively designing the detail for the design itself for the plushie. It comes with a weighted and removable championship belt, which has the logo on it that if you're a patron, you've seen it in the videos that are going to be part of that spring 2025 reboot, as well as the 1010 316 t-shirt, which is our required Lady 1010 meme, and it pays homage to my second favorite wrestler of all time, Stone Cold, who uses the Austin 316 promo. And speaking of promos, between November 20th to December 1st, there is a 25% off promo that you can use for your order. Black Friday 25. Black Friday is one word with the number 25 at the end. And best of all, this is the most important thing. If we don't hit 100 orders for the plushies, then it is 100% fully refundable. So it is a win-win. We hit 100 orders and you get this cool plushie that I can attest to looks amazing. And if we don't hit it, then you get your money back. Either way, you've helped support the channel in more ways than you guys realize. Pre-orders are now live via the link in the description box and my pinned comment until December 3rd. So hop on that now. While Konohamaru has gotten stronger since the time skip, potentially jumping as high as 8 whole tiers to get to the level where he would be comparable to one of the car enters. Again, the video on this may or may not be on the channel. If it is, I'll have it linked in the description box, but he's not taking down someone stronger than Code on his own. And even with something as impressive as the Rasengan barrier, at best, he's going to be able to serve as a support role, picking and choosing his spots and working the whole situation in conjunction with the other team in order to fight off the threat at hand, like he did in, say, the battle with Hidari. However, there's more to this entire situation than just the battles shown in perspective. I would argue it makes more sense to have Matsuri successfully take down Konohamaru. The reason why I say that is that it comes down to whether or not the narrative is going to follow the Chekhov's gun method of writing, or if it's going to use the bold choice of using a false gun method of writing. So longtime viewers of the channel, you've heard me use those terms quite a few times, more so the former than the latter. But with the former, i.e. the Chekhov's gun method, it's a belief that when you write a story, things that you introduce and you set up in the story, they have to be paid off at some point, or else they are a waste of time and they are a disservice to your readers. Like, say, if you put a gun on a nightstand or a hunting rifle that's mounted above a fireplace, at some point before the story ends, that gun needs to be fired off, or it needs to be used in a meaningful way than just being a decoration. Otherwise, it serves no purpose. To use Naruto as an example to further highlight this for you, we learn around Naruto volume 16 and 17 that the Akatsuki, they are out there, they're hunting down people who have enormous amounts of chakra via having tailed beasts sealed inside of them. The people who in universe are called Jinchuriki, people like Naruto. and that the Akatsuki had recently broken up into pairs to begin hunting them down. But Jiraiya told Kakashi their stated purpose was unknown to him. At some point, we not only needed to see the Akatsuki hunt down the Biju that are sealed inside a Jinchuriki and do it successfully, but we also needed to learn what their purpose of gathering Biju chakra was. In part 2 of the story, we saw multiple angles of the Biju hunt, where the Akatsuki, they are capturing Jinchuriki and they're sealing them away, but we also learned why the Akatsuki were gathering Biju chakra. Had the story never chosen to show us those things, it would have been an example of the latter writing method, which is going to be the false gun writing method. So when an author uses a false gun, they basically introduce something into the story that is set up to make it feel like to readers, this is a really big deal. And then it has some major payoff, yet the story at that point, when you think it's coming, it subverts your expectations by doing the opposite. The storyline just never goes anywhere. It's a drop plot point. Whatever that thing that was set up is just handled off screen or is completely forgot about, thrown into the wind. Naruto as a franchise has used both methods, but it primarily uses the former, the Chekhov's gun writing method, whereas a series like Jujutsu Kaisen is notorious for the latter, especially in the final arc of the manga. I would make a case that either Konohamaru or Gaara need to be devoured by one of these awakened Shinju. We need to see what happens when one of these awakened Shinju actually accomplishes their goal of consuming their chakra and consuming their target of their desire that their instincts have sent them to hunt after. There's been too much emphasis put on their desire to seek out new stimulation and information by eating the people who they're drawn towards. Them not eating someone that they're hunting will be like us going through Naruto's manga and never seeing one Jinchuriki get their Biju extracted. You need it to happen at least once to raise the stakes and make your villains, your antagonists, feel like a proper threat. A small seed of doubt needs to be planted into the minds of readers that can make them forget the genre rules of shonen, where the main character in 90% of shonen almost always wins at the end. Which, yes, there's about 10% of shonen where the main character either dies or does not accomplish their goal, or they do not win their fight. You have to have that heat where for a moment you make the audience think that this is one of those moments where their beloved character, it is in danger. Part of what made the Pain arc feel so memorable is that before Nagato summoned the Dragon Balls and revived everyone using the Auto Rini Rebirth, there was legit crashing out on internet forums back in the day. So this would be back around 2009 in manga format, where people were openly saying, why should I care about the story? Because Kishimoto's killing my favorite characters. How can Kakashi die? He can't die. Where's Might Guy? However, it had everyone in their feelings, and it led to Naruto being pinned down by Pain, and that made them stop and ask, is Naruto really about to be captured by the leader of the Akatsuki? And it led to people holding out hope that Team Guy, who had never been in Konoha at that point, would show up and that Might Guy would use the 8th gate to save Naruto from Pain. Part of what made the Cycle of Hatred speech hit so hard was that it was given during a time where it truly felt as if there was no going back for Naruto. There was no break glass in case of emergency situation. We know there is in hindsight, but at the time, nobody saw Naruto's seal oncoming. For the first time, we saw Naruto broken, and it was for the first time ever he was at a loss of words and defeated by Talk no Jutsu. Right now, with these awakened Shinju, we need to see a target get captured and consumed, so that we see exactly what happens when this happens. Do they transform into a higher state of being? Do they evolve mentally? Are they made closer to human than they already are? Does it have something to do with, say, the soul of a person? Those are questions that even Amado was dumbfounded by when he learned about what the Shinji were trying to do. Between Konohamaru and Gaara, you have two candidates who are ripe for the taking right here. Think about it for a second. Gaara is right back where he was in early part 2 of Naruto. He was the first Jinchuriki that we saw get their Biju extracted, and we saw exactly what happened, and we learned the terrible fate that awaited Naruto if he was ever captured. Biju extraction means death of the Jinchuriki. It took Chiyo using a whole forbidden jutsu that killed her to bring Gaara back to life. But the moment that it happened, it served its purpose. The stakes, they were raised. Gaara right now is hopelessly confined by Shinki's iron sand, and Ryu is the only one who can undo that jutsu. He's a sitting duck, and if you did take out Gaara, it would potentially be the universe looking back at Gaara and saying, hey, fam, you got an extra 20 years to live, give or take a few months. Time for you to come back to the afterlife where you're supposed to be. Your daddy's sitting over there with your mama. With Konohamaru, the appeal, it is there as well because it's a legacy character. Someone who we meet in the manga before we ever met Sasuke. Since Konohamaru debuted in Naruto's manga before Sasuke and Sakura ever did, anime changed that. The idea of Konohamaru falling victim at the hands of Matsuri, it works the same emotional heartstrings. You're cashing in all that goodwill that was built up with a legacy character that has not been used in any meaningful way. Having Konohamaru taken off the chessboard right now, it would create that pit in your stomach where you realize that not every character is safe. That moment of realization that maybe, just maybe, someone like Ada or Sarada, they could be next. It would be that representation that not all dreams get fulfilled and every promise isn't always kept. Naruto and Konohamaru, they promised each other when they first met to fight one day for the mantle Hokage, yet look at what happened. Naruto was sealed away by Kawaki and everyone believes that Naruto's dead. Konohamaru spent the last 3 years training like a madman to grow stronger and to try to protect the village in Naruto's absence and avenge what he believes is the death of Naruto, yet he's fallen short. That is a grim dose of reality. It'd be a similar lesson to teach the new gen readers of the story the same way that Asuma was used to teach fans of the old generation. The man died when he had a baby on the way and he had just found out he was going to be a father. He died without being able to fully guide his students, who he was charged with still protecting and training. They were left with incomplete development, even though they were technically peers of his in that they were Chunin and they could lead teams, but Asuma as a Jonin still outranked them and he was still teaching them lessons. Look at what we have here with Konohamaru. He has a student in Sarada who is openly trying to defend Boruto and her father. She wants to be Hokage like him, yet she is behaving in a way that to the naked eye gives off the impression as being disloyal to the village. His team hasn't been on any real mission for the last 3 years, but now they're out in the open battlefield right now. Konohamaru giving himself up to potentially allow them to escape with Gaara, someone who, when Konohamaru first met him, he was being bullied and he required Sasuke to save him from the Saiyan siblings. It will be a full circle moment. Just as Gaara once went into Konoha and was part of that group bullying Konohamaru, Konohamaru going into the land of Wind, helping the Sand Village Shinobi save the youngest of the Saiyan siblings, Gaara, it would be full circle. It would continue with what we saw in Naruto Part 1, where we had a Sarutobi die in the third Hokage. In Naruto Part 2, we had a Sarutobi die in the form of Asuma. In the Boruto era, we learned via one of the promo one-shots that Kishimoto drew that Konohamaru's parents, when they were alive, they were Anbu Black Ops, but they were not here. And the thing is that prior to that in manga format, we had never been told anything about Konohamaru's parents. If you heard anything in the anime, that's anime filler. That shit goes in the trash. Now, in what is basically Naruto Part 4, it's time for Konohamaru to cross that great monkey bridge in the sky, go visit his grandfather, his uncle, his parents, and pass that torch on to the newest Sarutobi clan member, Asuma's daughter Mirai, for that heartbreaking moment. I don't know about you, but man, I got tears in my eyes thinking about Konohamaru breathing his last breath, his life ending as quickly as the Boruto chapter review has popped up on the screen. So Rasengan, that like button, click on the review, watch that if you haven't seen it already, and click here to watch the newest video from Anime Explained, where I discuss non-Naruto content in the form of video essays, explained videos, and the occasional chapter review.